How's it going, everyone? Trey from Trey's Think Tank. And I know this is going to seem silly, but I wanted to discuss a topic that's kind of been on my mind for a while, and just sort of a thought experiment that I've had for some time now. I do this a lot. If I have sort of thoughts, I mill over them and I try to sort of theory craft and try to discover maybe some hidden truths into some sort of logical statements or just statements in general to see if whether they have some validity. And I think that there was a song lyric from one of Lil Wayne's songs, and essentially Lil Wayne says, "Not having money is the root of all evil." And the more that I think about that, the more that I believe that it's true. So a lot of people think that money and greed, the greed that comes with the want for money, is is the is the ultimate evil. But I think that there's merits to that argument, but there's also merits to the argument that people who don't have money are going to commit evil acts. And this applies across the board. And what I'm going to explain to it, I hope that it makes sense, and I hope that you'll understand what I'm trying to say. So, not having money is the root of all evil. That's sort of the premise here that we wanted to kind of break down and explain why I think that this is an actuality, why I think that this is reality for a lot of people, is that across the spectrum of wealth of people who make money, all of them, consider themselves not to have enough money, and that's sort of the how I'm going to front load my argument here, is that everyone who is greedy, who is evil, who does act act in sort of malicious manners, they are acting either out of not having money, literally being poor, or not having enough money that they really want, not pursuing enough wealth that they don't have enough wealth. They want to pursue a higher level. They want to reach that next echelon, and that's where I think that this comes in. That a lot of these people who either don't have money at all, they're just actually poor, or people who don't have enough money and really feel like they need to chase it, right? Like they need to chase money and they need to keep going after it. They need to keep up in that wealth and keep up. The more that they chase that, the more that I think that's kind of where it leads to the greed, leads to the sort of maliciousness, leads to the evil that we're talking about here. So not having money, in other words, not having enough money that you think you should have, whether you be actually poor or whether you have $1 million in your bank account, and yet you still think that, oh, I need to make that 2 million, and I need to make that 3 million, and I need to make that 4, and by any means I'm going to make that 4 million. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter the tactics. It doesn't matter if I'm being ethical about about earning the capital that I want to, earning the money that I want to have. That's where I think that a lot of this is derived from. It's not that if you're rich you're evil. That's where I think that a lot of the people who say greed, evil. I mean, greed. It is sort of greed, but people think that rich people are necessarily greedy, which isn't an actual position that all of them hold. They're not necessarily. Their behaviors may not match up to being a greedy person. They may not be, as wealthy. I mean, there are a lot of people who will say, if there's some guy, Joe Schmo, that has $1 million in his bank account and he lives in a poorer state, they look at him and they say, hey, I make $50,000 a year, you got $1 million in your bank account, you're a greedy, rich, bad person. And I think that's the people think that the love of money, like, you can still love the idea of being economically sound and not having to worry. Like, I would love it if I was economically, stable, where that it didn't matter if I have to, if for some reason I don't have a job tomorrow, that I would be set for, set for life, or at least set for some period of time until I can be able to get back on my feet. Having economic stability is very important, and for those people who are economically stable and who have they're economically sound, they don't have to worry about any economical issues that would affect them in their daily life. Then I don't think that they're necessarily greedy. I don't necessarily think that they just love money. Money is a tool, first and foremost, and I think that's why it confuses so many people. They think that, oh, you're rich, you love money, and therefore you're greedy, and therefore you're evil. There's a lot of conflation of all of these terms, and I think that that's where it really frustrates me, that people think that by virtue and by nature that either someone who has acquired wealth, or someone that obtains wealth in some way, that they are greedy, evil, and they have a love for money. Money is simply a tool. It's a medium of exchange. And if you understand basic economics, you understand this. It's just simply a tool by which people are able to make transactions within society, and being able to basically exchange for goods and services. And if you are providing if you're meeting a need that society needs at large, and you make more money, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're a bad person because you provided something that was very valuable to a lot of people. That doesn't inherently mean that you're evil. That doesn't inherently mean that you just have a love for money. You can take it far, and then you can really just like want to milk people. Like, you get people hooked on a product. Say Apple, for instance, a very greedy business where they want to get people hooked on their products, using only their products, and then they want to basically root out any competition whatsoever. So you can have these type of scenarios where essentially these big corporations lend themselves to, where they do have a love for money, but it's also not necessarily a love for money. A lot of it is determined by our current economic system. How these companies have to operate, because they have to post quarterly profits, and if they don't post their quarterly profits, if they don't post good quarterly profits, then the investors dip. They get out of the stock, they stop investing in the company, and the company kind of takes a downturn. So you have to be making money all the time, every quarter, and that's a part of the problem with the current system, I guess. But in general, people acquiring wealth and people obtaining money doesn't necessarily mean that they love money. Money is simply a tool. They're being rewarded for providing something that is beneficial to all of society, I assume, or most of society, or some section of society. Regardless, they provided a service that people are willing to pay for, and providing work for someone who they are willing to pay them well enough for, to work that job, and that is simply it. And you can't just say that they love money, that they're greedy, that they're evil. And I think that that's the conflation that a lot of people have, especially people of faith, and that's where I think that there are a lot of issues, is whenever people conflate, especially people of faith, when they conflate people having a lot of money and people obtaining a lot of wealth with being loving money and being evil, when simply that's just a tool that people can use to either buy goods in exchange for goods and services, or they can use it in other ways, investing in companies and things of that nature. And just because you're not smart with your money and not saving it and investing it correctly does not mean necessarily that that these people are just bad. But I do think that people who don't have enough money, that they feel that they don't have enough money, is what leads to the greed and corruption and evil in society. If you have $1 million and you want to get to 2 million, I've got to get to 2 million, and I'm gonna by any means I'm gonna get to 2 million, and I'm gonna, crush anyone who gets in my way. These kind of mentalities are where it gets to comes the evils come to bear. Or people who, maybe they aren't in a good economic situation and they don't have money, they will do some evil things because they think that they think that they're justified in doing those because they're poor or because they don't have enough money. But I think that that's really overstating their position. There are a lot of ethical means by which they could obtain money and obtain the stability to be able to prosper in society. But I think that they don't understand that and they weren't taught that. And a lot of our educational system is to blame for not teaching people how to have marketable skills to be able to carry themselves in society, so that they don't end up in these situations where they don't have enough money and they have to act without ethics. But essentially, yeah, I mean that one silly sort of quote in a song, and I it stuck with me for it's that song's been out for several years now, I think. But essentially, just this one little song lyric, I was thinking, they're right, like Lil Wayne's right here when he's saying that not having money is the root of all evil. And like I said, it's not just people who are poor necessarily. I don't think that poor people are evil because of that, but I think that it does lend itself, not having money and not having the understanding of how to be ethical in your pursuit of money is a problem, and it contributes to sort of a growing evil in society, and where people want to be greedy and want to either they're just trying to make it and they think that they have to do some really nasty things to be able to get by, or they or they just want to pursue even more wealth, and so they're willing to do a lot of shady things to pursue that. But it's just a silly little throwaway line that I'd pondered on, and I really thought that the more I think about it, the more this is true. And it's not necessarily like it is the love for money, but it's also, it's not necessarily always just love for money, because not everybody is trying to get by, because they love money. If somebody's just getting by, then they're probably not just loving money. They just need money to be able to survive, and sometimes it makes people lose their sense of ethics whenever they don't feel like they have enough money. That's sort of the basis of the argument. But I wanted to see what other people have to think about this. Appreciate you watching the video. If you've enjoyed the content, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Also, I have some links to my social medias in the description. Please click follow me over on my other platforms, and also there are crypto wallet addresses if you just feel inclined to support the channel. Anyways, that's it. That's all I had for today. This is Trey's Think Tank, and I'm signing out.